All right, so now that we're all done with the brass, let's dig into this percussion a little bit. So I'm just going to play it for you so you can get a feel for it. All right, so instrumentation-wise, I've kind of got it divided into two sections. I've got your normal, what you would find in an orchestra-like setup. You've got a snare. I've got a field snare. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We've got our bass drum, timpani, cymbals, wind chimes, an anvil, a chime, gongs, and then we have kind of what you would consider a staple in epic music. I don't like to call my music the epic genre, but these kind of drums are very idiomatic to this genre. So if we listen to just these drums. All right, so one thing that you can really do with your percussion, we've been talking about it all course, is layering and humanizing. That if you haven't figured it out, that's kind of a common theme to a better mock-up. So I mentioned this snare and this field snare. So let's listen to each one by itself. The field snare. All right, so that field snare is a little dirty. We're going to fix that. So just like we've been talking, all course about layering, I don't remember where I read this trick, but I remember reading it somewhere. Someone was like, "Why don't you layer a field snare with a regular snare?" I was like, "Oh, that's a perfect idea." So I do that all the time. So when you listen to them together. So you can hear both of them. If we bring up the piano roll and we zoom in, you can see that they are humanized. They're not playing together. They're slightly off of each other, which is extremely realistic. If you think about a snare drum, it's very percussive. It's really, really hard to play perfectly in time. It's just a very fast attack, very fast release, very transient, heavy instrument. So if we were to put this in time, let's quantize this. I'll need to use a triplet grid. And a little trick in Logic, this green button right here, if it's highlighted and you press a note, it's going to trigger it. If you turn it off by either clicking it or Control-O, then it won't trigger. So now that the green light's off, it's not going to play. So I want to highlight all these, and then let's quantize it to a triplet grid. And I found quantizing to a triplet grid is really hard. You usually have to get in there and fine-tune it a little bit more. So if you hear a quantizing that obviously is wrong, just ignore it. But this is what it sounds like when it's perfectly quantized. All right, now let's unquantize that. Quantize it. Unquantize. All right, so you can hear it widens up the sound a little bit, makes it just a little bit fuller. It's really, really apparent with the snare drum, just because it's so. I mean, the snare drum basically is the attack. So when you have two distinct attacks, it's really realistic, and it does broaden up the sound a little bit. So let's play all of that together, all the percussion, and you can listen to the snare drum and kind of what it's doing to shape the sound. And on top of that, I think right here, no, I don't have that coming yet. Okay, so let's move on down to these big drums down here. So let me play them for you. All right, so it's kind of a cross between flams and just a very unquantized part. Let's add in this. All right, so, I could take that a little bit further. So let's open up our humanize function, command 4. Let's pull it down. Let's, 10's cool. We don't want to do it too much. All right, and something I kind of forgot to do. Let's come back here. Let's lower the velocity. I don't want to change the velocity too much. It's already very diverse, so I don't want to change it too much. All right, and when you humanize, sometimes you need to proof listen to it. If you heard, where is it? Right here, that's dirty. I don't like that, so let's fix that. I mean, you can see, just look at the alignment. That's way off. So it looks like everything on the bottom, especially right here, is just a little too far over. So I'm gonna click, hold Control, drag it over a little bit. Let's get these a little bit closer to the grid. Beautiful. Okay, so I mean, you can, if you haven't started to realize, you should very soon, just how powerful not hard quantizing your parts and humanizing your parts can really do for your piece. I'm not saying you shouldn't quantize at all. I often do a hard quantize, and then I'll do a humanize. That way, it's humanizing off of a strict grid instead of humanizing off of your already imperfect recording. I do that pretty religiously. I do that on just about every part I enter in. So if we add in more elements to that, let's add in the Earthquake Ensemble and the Godzilla hits. Let's go a little further in. And something I might want to mess around with. So I know that these Earthquake ensembles and these Godzilla hits are playing just the downbeats. You can tell just on one. And they're a little bit too close for me. I might want to broaden it up just a little bit more. So a good trick you can do in every DAW, but in Logic specifically, if you click the first note, then click Shift Option, and F, it's going to select all the following notes of that that value. So it's great for percussion because usually it's just the same value for whatever instrument you have. So I can click that note, and then I'll click this one, and then click Shift Option F, and it's going to select all of them. So that's a useful little tool. But going to open up the Humanize feature again. I don't want to do too much. These are big instruments with long reverb tails. I don't want to alter them too much. So maybe I'll go back to 10. That might work. That sounds a little better. I mean, there are some places where they sound like they're playing at the same time. Like I noticed right here on this beat right here, they kind of sound in unison. So if you really want to get nitpicky, you can get in here and fine tune it a little bit. And how nitpicky you get is up to you. I doubt very seriously you would have heard that, but it's all about how good you can make your piece behind the scenes. So yeah. All right, so we haven't really talked too much about the bridge section, so I do want to show you at least something from that section of this piece. So I'm going to play the percussion part for you. All right, and the one thing that I really want to draw attention to, we've been talking about humanization and not hard quantizing your parts for a lot of this course. So if I solo this this snare drum figure, all right, so we have a snare and a field snare, and then this contact drum, it's from the Damage library that comes with Native Instruments. It's a Heavy O City product. It's a brush tom patch, so they're just playing brushes on toms, so it sounds like this. Real cool sound. I love this sound. So if we open up the piano roll, let's go back a little bit, like here. All right, so I mean that's pretty dirty, but I really like the way it sounds. It might sound a little too loose. That's personal preference. But for me, I really like the way this sounds. And when you add it in with the rest of the track, it has a very wide, almost, a very full, big sound. And if we zoom in here and look at some of the information, there's a lot of stuff that's getting played at different times. Okay? All right, so I'm going to play this whole middle section for you, and I want you to really listen to the snare line and the tom line and see if you can hear how that non-humanized aspect is really adding to the depth and fullness of the percussion line. right. So yeah, if you really listen, and even if you don't listen, you get this broader sense of percussion underneath when you don't hard quantize your parts.